What's up, guys? It's Meg. Welcome back to Meg After Dark. We have a special guest today, my mom, who you guys may have seen in some of my like really old reaction videos. She used to be like the voice off to the side. But she's been in it a few times and you guys always really liked it. So today we're doing a review of the latest Walking Dead episode. What was it? Season 9, episode 14, called Scars. We finally found out why they have the X's on their backs, Michonne and Daryl. It was a great episode. I have to admit, because it was so hyped that this was gonna be like the darkest episode since 701, which 701, if you remember, was the Glenn and Abe getting killed by Negan, which was probably the worst thing I think we've ever seen on The Walking Dead. As far as it being dark, I always sort of felt like, I don't think, I mean, darkest episode since 701. So I guess maybe they're not talking about like the dark episodes before that, because a lot of people compared this episode to The Grove, which was where Carol was forced to kill Lizzie. Oh, Look at the flowers. Right. But I almost feel like that episode was darker than this episode. And I'm not really here to like compare the episodes, but I just kind of wanted to get that out there because this episode was so hyped that I really expected it to be way worse than it was. Yeah. I mean, it was bad. Having to kill children, like especially when you're pregnant too already, and like children are the future of you know, you're in apocalyptic times, children are the future, you know, leaders, the future people, you have to have them. And so to have to kill off so many, like, I totally get that it was like really devastating, especially for her having to do that. But I just really like, I felt like The Grove was worse because Carol really tried with Lizzie and I feel like she loved them both and like seeing that happen. So, I guess they said darkest episodes since 701, so they're not really referring to older episodes, I guess. Let me know what you guys think about that. So the episode starts out with Michonne is searching for Rick. It's way back, like pretty shortly after he dies. At first she's not pregnant, so it kind of progresses pretty quick, the episode. Like at first they don't show her pregnant and then they show her come back again. She already has the gun and she's more pregnant, more visibly pregnant. And so it looked like for a long time there she was going out every day looking for some sign of him. And she found his gun, which I just thought was so like, oh, that was sad. But I do think it was like one thing that kind of let her, like, it was something of his, and I feel like I can relate to that. Like it probably meant a lot that she found something of his, you know, and was able to like take that forward, not having any closure or anything like that. But you really do, I made a note here that you can really feel her pain and Daryl's pain when they're talking. And when Daryl says like, I'll never stop looking, it's just, it's so freaking sad to know like those two were the most, I think, affected, and Judith obviously, but those two were the most, like, I'm getting teary just thinking about it, were the most affected by believing that Rick was dead and then not getting that closure. And I think the closure is so important in the time that they're in, you know, because one, the last thing you would want would be for Rick to be a walker out there wandering around. Like he would have never wanted that. And I think that's what's so important is I do think they believe that he's dead, but not having found a body and not, you know, knowing that he's out there walking around somewhere. But I do think there's still like there was still a little bit of hope, you know, that, well, we never found him, so it doesn't mean he's, isn't that what we always say in The Walking Dead? Like, oh, we didn't see him die, so he might not be dead. And I also made a note here that I really love the transitions back and forth from the present time where Michonne is, you know, like talking to Lydia or talking to Judith, or when Michonne is searching for Judith again, the transitions between the past scenes and the present. Like sometimes when you do time jumps and flashbacks and things like that, it can get really confusing. And it wasn't. The transitions were so nice and like almost seamless, where you could really tell when the scenes were changing, and you know, you didn't have to question like, oh, is this present, is this, you know, past. I really like that, and I thought that it was done really well. Like Michonne would look one way and then it would be Michonne in the past looking that same way, and you know, like it was really nice. Okay, so in the present time, Daryl brings Henry and Lydia and Connie to Alexandria to get Henry's leg stitched up. They're there. I like that part with Michonne where she was like talking to Lydia and she was like, well, if I only had myself to worry about, I'd just leave. Like it's like the big like hint to like get the fuck out of here. You only have you. It is interesting though because you can tell that Lydia really thinks about it. she doesn't just brush it off. She's really like, as Michonne walks away, she's really like, so it does have me a little bit worried that she might try and like leave again or something like that. Like, oh, it might be for the best for me to just go off on my own. Like maybe not go back. I don't think she wants to go back to her mom, but it's just a little bit there. Let's see. I wrote everything down so I wouldn't forget, but I said, okay, so we get a flashback pretty quick on to Michonne opening the gates to the new people. This was like back when she was pregnant looking for Rick. And she sees her friend, which a lot of you guys were writing comments where, you know, how would she see her friend after so long? Like, how would her friend find her? Or, you know, like, how would it just so happen to be? Well, have you guys not been watching Fear the Walking Dead? Like, if Morgan can go out and find clear across like states away from like Virginia to Texas, like they can fucking find each other, you know, and Dwight's gonna go out there too and find them. Like, come on. Apparently in this world, like there's no, you can find whoever you want to. No, but I don't find it like if they're, I don't remember where, it's been so long, I don't remember where Michonne started out from. Like, where did she live before to come here? Because obviously they've traveled a lot. They weren't always in Virginia. They were, you know, they were in different places. So I'm not 100% sure on the probability of her finding each other, but I do know that, like, you know, if people migrate in the same way, sometimes, you know, like it makes logical sense. If you both start out, maybe they both lived in the same city. If you both start out in some way, eventually after so many years, you might, maybe she had the same idea going out that way. I don't really know. Like, it obviously, honestly, it didn't bother me at all because in Fear, I mean, people find each other. I mean, look how many times Madison and Alicia and Nick and everybody found each other again. And you know, and Daniel was in Mexico, you know, or wherever he was. And then he, you know, he finds him at the dam too. Like, it's just, nothing surprises me anymore with that. It was crazy though, that she like, I mean, she like kidnaps kids and then trains them to be her little soldiers. And a lot of people mentioned Children of the Corn, which I mentioned that as well, just based on the creepy little children. And then one of my viewers, and I'm gonna see if maybe I can find you real quick, said, and because I knew that I had seen it before, seen something like that before, but I couldn't put my finger on what exactly it was. And I'm gonna try and find right here. Okay. Cindy Cruz says, it reminds me of Game of Thrones, little birds killing Maester Pycelle. And if you remember,
that's right.
Varys's little birds, right? And I think it was like in the most recent one. And I said, yes, this, I knew I'd seen it somewhere. Don't the little kids all come up and take turns stabbing him?
Right.
Stabbing the Maester.
Right.
Remember that?
Yeah,
and they all like, he was there and they're all just like, and I was like, that is exactly what I was thinking of, is the evil little, you know, like his little birds. Like they were all, and in the end, in like the most recent season, they were like that more, weren't they? Like, we're rewatching Game of Thrones right now, but I'm not that far yet. I just thought that was really crazy, and I didn't understand the branding at first, and then a lot of you guys left me comments saying that the branding was like, we mark our targets and then we hunt our marks. Oh, so it was kind of, and that's what they said it really quick after Daryl and Michonne escaped. You see Jocelyn come in with the kids, and she was like, what do we do next? You know, like I think they said like they escaped, and she's like, what do we do next? And the kid was like, the kid said like, we mark our targets, we hunt our marks, something like that. I missed so that's what it was. But I think it was also, like many of you guys said, it was desensitizing the kids to like the violence and that sort of thing. Which was crazy, seeing them both tied up there. And it really, I do really think that it bonded them a lot more going through that. And I'm curious to know if they ever told anyone, you know, besides parents. I guess they must have probably told the parents, but it doesn't seem like it's something they widely speak of. And they thought that Judith did not remember. Right. And it turns out she did, which I just love the Judith's. I love Judith. I love the character. She's like wise beyond her years. Exactly. And I think probably for growing up, you know, in this time, and also talking to Negan, I think a lot, like he's like straight up with her, and so she knows a lot more. Yeah, like everyone wants to protect her and keep her safe and like not tell her anything, and he's always straight up with her.
Right.
And she did remember, you know, she's old enough to remember that. And I loved the moment where she was like, you chose me, like you chose to be my mom. Oh my gosh. And I am so thankful that she has Michonne, because I just can't imagine her going through all of that and not having any parents.
Right.
Okay, let's just see where else we are here. Oh, and just also like the thought in general of having your kid be kidnapped is like
gosh, the terror
and your worst fear. And I was imagining that, you know, in this, like where we are right now, if my kid was kidnapped, it would be like the worst thing that could ever happen to me, honestly. Not knowing where your kid is, not knowing if you're able to find them. But now you have, like, you can call the police, you know, you can put out Amber Alerts, like there's those things. And if you think about it, not to say that that works all the time, because it doesn't. So many children go missing all the time. But there are still those, like, social media where you can put the word out. And if you put yourself in that, like, it's the apocalypse. There's no...
But you have Daryl, who's a tracker.
You do have Daryl. Not everybody has a Daryl, though.
That's true.
Not everybody has a Daryl. Thank God. Thank God Judith has a Daryl.
Oh, she's probably pretty good at tracking by now anyway.
Yeah, but it's a crazy thought to think of, like...
Yeah.
Not having any communication. No one can help you search except your own people right there. You can't put out a phone call. You can't put out an Amber Alert. You can't drive a car around even, you know. There's, you know, they have the horses and the, but you can't, you know, I mean, it's just, it's so much harder, I feel like. And it sounded like they looked, I didn't catch it at first, but at the end, it seems like they looked for a long time. It wasn't just like she was gone for a day. Because
I didn't catch that.
Well, because when Michonne finally, when she killed all the children and Judith comes out of the trailer, Judith looks at her for a minute and she looks at Judith and she's waiting to see if Judith is as brainwashed as these kids were. And I felt like it was more of a time difference there.
Oh.
Like when they were sitting on the playground, her and Daryl, and he was like, we'll find her, like we'll just keep looking, whatever he said. I kind of got the feeling that there was some time that had passed, but I don't know, I could be wrong. Let me know what you guys think about that.
I didn't catch it. I thought that when Judith came out and there was that pause and everything, that she was worried that Judith would see her with all the kids in the carnage.
Well, I think that too.
The horror of that she wouldn't.
Because she was bloody and she was like
that she wouldn't want to come to Michonne. But that was where my brain.
No, I thought that too. I thought that too.
It could be what you're saying though. Also, I just didn't think about that.
I thought that too, and I think Michonne was scared too, because she was just like covered in blood, injured.
Yeah,
and then she was hoping
she's a little girl.
Yeah,
so
and man, that scene, I was surprised that she didn't just go into labor right then and there. She was beat like hard, like that. When she opened the door and ran out the back and the lady was there and was just like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how she kept getting back up. Like, she's a fighter. And it was, I mean, that was one of the best Michonne moments I think I've ever seen in the show. I loved that so much. Just seeing her resilience. And I think, like, if you think about it, the kids were such a good weapon for Jocelyn. Like, she didn't have to do anything, and nobody wants to kill kids, and everyone is taken off guard by little killer kids. Do you know what I mean? Like, honestly, that's why Michonne and Daryl would have never been caught off guard. Daryl would have never been shot with an arrow, you know. Michonne would have never let the kids like hurt her or be knocked out or anything.
Yeah.
But it was because they were kids, or wouldn't have let her be knocked out by like an adult. But because they were kids, they both hesitated because neither one of them wanted to hurt a child.
Right.
And they kept hesitating. Like every time she had to kill one, she didn't want to. Yeah, and that one girl survived.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad. I mean, at least they trained her to know how to like hunt and stuff. Because it's like everyone that you were with is dead and there's just one little girl.
She's gonna probably come back sometime.
Yeah, she's gonna come back. She's like future like evil person. Okay, so I think we pretty much touched on everything. The final scene where they're arriving at the kingdom, right? And we see the two whisperers out off to the side.
Oh, right.
They have followed them to the kingdom. So we know something bad's gonna happen because she's like, we gotta go tell Alpha. Next episode is gonna be pretty crazy. You don't really know the spoilers, do you?
No.
Did I tell you
No,
comic spoilers? Okay, so
No.
we don't really talk about comic spoilers on this channel because we don't want anybody who hasn't read the comics to be spoiled for next episode. Just know going into it that there will be deaths.
Oh.
And I'm so nervous. And I know all you guys are nervous too. You've been wanting me to make death predictions. I honestly, like, I don't even want to because I'm so nervous about it. One of the biggest, which we'll talk about, one of the biggest, I think, couples that I think everybody thinks someone is gonna die is Ezekiel and Carol. But when I was watching the previews, I felt pretty sure that Carol wasn't gonna die. But, you know, I just don't even want to do predictions at this point. It makes me nervous. I feel like somebody from the Sadiq and Gabriel and, why can't I think of her name? What's her name? Rosalita? Is that Rosa? What her name is?
Yeah.
Okay, Rosalita. No.
Yeah. Oh no.
Why can't I? Fuck.
Rosita.
Rosita, okay.
Yeah.
Oh
When you
my
said
gosh,
Rosalita,
you guys.
like,
I'm thinking of
like,
the cat
okay.
Rosalita
Yeah.
on Instagram. I don't know why I just had trouble with that. I like went blank. I could picture her in my head and I was like, Rosalita did not sound right to me.
But I was going with
Rosita.
it.
Rosita. I feel like one of those trios is gonna die, but I don't know. I don't want to talk about it, you guys. I'm really nervous. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Let me know what you thought of the episode in the comments below, and we will see you next Sunday for probably one of the worst Walking Dead episodes ever. We're gonna cry. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.